Direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. That's a mouthful of a statement. And yes, it was created by committee. However, it is very poetic. It's one of my very favorite of the sources. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by taking one phrase at a time and taking it apart just a bit. Let's figure out what this source might mean for us if these 6 sources are important to us in Clemson, South Carolina today. Direct experience. Well, that is like the insights and epiphany experiences that we can have during the course of our lives. An example might be when you met the person who you fell in love with and realized you're going to marry them. Or it could be an experience that you've had during meditation and suddenly you've had an insight that has escaped you. Buddhism teaches that direct experience is just that. Nothing theoretical, nothing intellectual, but directly encountering whatever it is in front of you without any barriers at all. You are there directly. And there's nothing in between. And in some ways, there is no protection. You can't analyze it. Then there's that phrase of that transcending mystery and wonder. Now that has a lot of powerful words in it. Transcending means, of course, rising above or beyond normal life and experience. Now, one example might be an act of courage that we might have to sacrifice something or ourselves for someone else. I would suspect that every woman here who has given birth has probably had such experience of sacrifice and renewal. The opportunity that we have occasionally to move beyond our self-gratifying ego, to be in community, and to take care of others beyond and before ourselves, is another act of transcendence. Then there's mystery. That's another tricky word, and what I've noticed with the Unitarian side of our Unitarian Universalist Association is that the Unitarian side really doesn't like that word very much. Because we like to solve or understand mystery, and that's good. It's perfectly understandable. But sometimes mystery is an experience that's right in front of us that we can't analyze, and it's unknown, and it's mysterious. And I'll talk a bit about that more below. Affirmed in all cultures says, to me at least, that direct experience of transcending mystery and wonder is universal in the human species. It can be found anywhere. The capacity to transcend into mystery and wonder can be found anywhere, at any time, if we are capable of experiencing it. Then the phrase, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit. That says that such experiences can renew us in body, mind, and that very mysterious thing called spirit. Renewal can mean we are reborn, refreshed, revitalized, revived. And as a consequence, we can feel more whole, complete, even happy. And then finally, that phrase, and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. Well, what that suggests to me is that there are driving fundamental forces that push life forward. Now, one of them could be biological evolution. That would make sense. Biological evolution pushes us or pulls us forward to procreate, to learn, to take care of our children and grandchildren. It also might mean spiritual evolution. It moves us in a path toward wisdom, greater ethical values, and compassion. So that long and poetic phrase, which I still love and I tried to memorize over the years, I've tried to come up with a different way of saying it sometimes. So here's one. I'll say it twice. Without knowing it, I seek meaning. Without knowing what it is, I find insight when I stumble upon great mystery. Then I know that I do not know. Without knowing it, I seek meaning. Without knowing what it is, I find insight when I stumble upon great mystery. And then I know that I do not know. Not as poetic, but maybe it speaks a bit to the opening words by Einstein this morning when he said the most beautiful thing we experience in life is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science, both, not one or the other. So you might say, okay, Alex, that's all very well and good. So what? What's it mean for us today in a crazy 21st century in Clemson, South Carolina, with all the dramas going on around us? Well, there are two words in that first source that I think are critical. One is mystery, and the other is wonder. Now, there are many ways to define mystery, as we know. I would imagine that at least a few of you love mystery novels. The genre of mysteries has people going gaga, not singer. People love mysteries. So there's a subgenre of books. Okay, that's one. Another way of looking at mystery might be what we're trying to solve in our lives. And I know probably a few of you are students or faculty at Clemson or other education institutions. And so one mystery you might encounter would be the, how am I going to figure out this blankety blank 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 problem? That's another mystery. But I think the word mystery in the first source speaks to something that exists in all human beings, without exception. The other afternoon, I was meeting with Carrie and Chad Carson in my office with their little daughter, Serena, who's less than a year old, totally cute. We're going to be having a dedication ceremony for her on October 23rd to officially welcome her to the congregation. And believe it or not, there may be some heavy hors d'oeuvres afterwards. Just warning you. I noticed her during our conversation between Chad and Carrie and myself. She was looking at me very intently. And I picked up a toy that Carrie had brought with her, and I put it right in front of Serena's face. And she smiled the broadest possible smile. And she looked at the toy. And she looked at me. And I thought, boy, this girl's going to break hearts. But what I saw in her eyes was a new life. Seeing the world as mystery. Every bit of it as mystery and newness. Just amazing. And she's not the only one. Sometimes when I'm talking with Denise or Albert after the service or others of you, I see in your eyes the story of a whole lifetime. Or your eyes, or any of you. I see in your eyes just a glimpse of your life, of the story. And you know, it's all mystery. Because we know each other so very little. Last spring, when I talked about the Helen Bishop report, I said that all truth is partial truth. We can never know the whole story. We just get little glimpses. And this is the case true when we encounter mystery. We may encounter it. We may be astonished by it. We may look in the child's eyes and say, oh my goodness. Or we may look into someone else's eyes and realize how much they love us, or we them. But so much of it is mystery, and so much of it is almost unknowable. So I would suggest that the words mystery and wonder are side by side in that first source very deliberately. We encounter mystery, and if the conditions are right, if we are prepared, we respond to it with wonder, even if for a moment. Now, what I saw in Serena's eyes the other day was her looking at the great mystery of the world around her. And it's a world that you and I probably take for granted because, well, we're adults. But her expression was an expression of absolute wonder and curiosity and joy for the things that she was seeing and hearing and touching and feeling. And it was all new. And every moment was a wonderful moment. So, how could we do that? How could we transcend the world of normalcy where we have to go to work tomorrow to a world of wonder or appreciation? Is it possible to create a condition where the mystery that a toddler has can be available to us, even with our own years of perhaps just a little cynicism and so much experience with the world? Well, as you know, a lot of religious communities do this by ritual. You see the theme now. One example is the Eucharist or Holy Communion in Roman Catholic tradition. I've never experienced it directly because, well, I'm a heretic. But I'm told even though it's formulaic, it's very soothing. And what it does is it recreates the mystery of the Last Supper of Jesus. Rituals happen during the High Holy Days in Jewish faith, which are happening now. And yes, we have our own rituals here, the chalice lighting and the unison affirmation and joys and sorrows and so on. And if any of those were to disappear, and by the way, I was tempted to change one of them, this morning, you would be appalled because they're so sensual to who you are. Now, sometimes ritual becomes too important. I have been a long time part of Great Vows Zen Monastery in Oregon, and the ritual ceremonies that they do there every day have become so advanced and so permeating that I don't like them because I think they get in the way of the real ritual of sitting and doing meditation. Many people like them. I don't. Ritual at its best can remind us or invite us to take a breather from the world that's outside those doors. We light a chalice and we initiate a mystery called the presence of truth, compassion, and the inherent wholeness of every person. That's what we do when we light a chalice. We say a unison affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church and service is its law. This is our great covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Now, you may not think too much of it because you say it every week. But to say it aloud is to affirm a promise that you're making with each other every single Sunday. And what that ritual does, whether you know it or not, opens a doorway into the mystery of human relationships. And how do we promise to get along with each other even if we don't quite get along? And then, of course, joys and sorrows. If that ritual was lost to you, you would be very upset. Yes, joys can become announcements, and sorrows can become political diatribes. But even so, the mystery of what you will experience when I say, now is the time for joys and sorrows in the service, you have no idea what's going to happen. what you are going to hear or what you are going to say are going to change your lives forever. Because with any luck, you're going to go to some person and say, I'm sorry about what happened, or congratulations on your great achievement. Mystery, and then wonder of being able to share and to accept the gift of another person's appreciation. Yesterday morning, we had an orientation for stewardship, and you'll learn more about stewardship later, who are going to be visiting folks this fall for the stewardship campaign. One question I posed to that group of leaders yesterday was this: what would you like to experience 3 years from now when you're sitting here on a Sunday morning in the main service? Most answered, a minister giving us an inspiring service. Now, that could mean several things. One is that you're looking for a minister who will actually give you an inspiring service. Fair enough. It could mean a minister giving an insightful perspective on living life well. It could mean a sermon passionately addressing social issues, social justice issues, like, for example, the death penalty. An inspiring service would be one that would have you walking out those doors with things to think about and chew over, and to make your week a little bit more doable. Those are all good. But I'm proposing here, in addition, that an inspiring service would be one that uses this first source, where from time to time, usually when we least expect it, we will encounter great mystery and will respond with great wonder. Now, yes, those words are capitalized. Because mystery, like a mystery novel, but great mystery is something so awesome that we can only experience it. And then wonder, I'm wondering what's going to happen for lunch. That's one thing. But great wonder is when we're filled with awe and appreciation for something we've just experienced or heard or seen that has so much power to it that all we can do is go, wow. What I think is that the first source asks us to be open to something that happens in all the cultures of the world. It gives us an invitation that if we are open to the forces that create and uphold life, we may, just may, occasionally, when we least expect it, become open, and we rise above normal life into a place of wonder that can renew us. Okay? Now, if I was in this congregation right now, I'd say, all right, Alex, prove it. Fair enough. Most of you have heard of Karen Armstrong. She's a contemporary theologian. You may know of her from the book, The Case for God, The Struggle for God, and other books. She's an ex-nun, by the way. Also, we used one of her materials at the 9/11 service event a couple of weeks ago called The Charter for Compassion, which is a major work that she's doing with groups around the world. In her recent book, The Case for God, she talks about mystery and its presence in religion, historically. And she says that mystery was neither a hazy abandonment of rationality, nor was it a self-indulgent wallowing in mumbo-jumbo. It was not something that we were supposed to think or not think, but something we did. Not something we just took in and, but something we do actively. It was a way, she said, to directly experience the sacred. Now, she used a couple of examples. One example was the Cro-Magnon art on the paintings on the walls of the caves in southern France. If any of you have ever seen them, and I have not, they're quite astonishing. The other example she used was a cathedral in Italy, where you walk in, and the vastness of the space and how it is configured just leaves you breathless. Now, we don't have a cathedral, and we don't have cave art. But I am going to give you a ritual that you can take with you, and it might give you some inspiration from time to time, and maybe even when you least expect it, a moment of wonder. Many of you know that we have a Tuesday evening meditation group here. My focus with it is sitting meditation because that's the real core of it. You sit and you wait and you calm your mind and you wait to see what happens next. We do a mindfulness practice every week, and mindfulness is really paying attention to the present moment of what's going on within us and outside of us. Mindful. When we send this out every week in Midweek News, it isn't just to fill up space for Julie, but it's a way for you to look at ways in which you can focus your attention on life right in front of you, like a yawn, or an itch, or anything else that might be going on, and be attentive to it. Because, as my Zen teacher said many years ago, most of our lives we're spending our time in the present, in the past, the future, or fantasy. We might spend 1% of our time in the present moment. So I'm going to end here before we have conversation time with a brief mindfulness meditation for you. It's a ritual that you can use, and it can be used in many other ways. I use it with food and drink a lot. But it's an issue a thing we could do, you can do today, right now. And see if it opens the door for you. As a way to inspire you for this meditation, I'm going to invite you now to close your eyes and sit quietly in your seat. You don't have to keep your back straight like your mother tells you. You can just sit there. And I want you, without moving, to try to feel or sense the clothing you're wearing. Feel its texture, whether it's warming or cooling. How does it feel in your skin? And as you do that, try to think of all the unknown people who used hands and machines and sweat to bring it to you. Think of the people who designed it or cut the fabric for it or used machines or shipped it or put it on the shelf of the store. Think of all the hundreds and hundreds of people involved who brought it to you. They'll never be known to you. You will never know who those people are. They are mystery. Then, as you have a sense of this clothing you're wearing now, and all these mysterious people whose names you do not know, can you be for a moment filled with wonder for the skills, determination, and courage that it took to bring you this clothing? Can you appreciate the hard labors that people had to do, the sweat, and sometimes the pain? And whether the workers were treated harshly or paid unfairly, they brought you what you're wearing because of their determination to live and to life itself. For their children, for their families, for everyone in their lives, they made these for you. Can you wonder at their courage to get up and work another hard day? Can you manifest that courage as you help to make the world a saner place? And as you stop and you keep feeling the sense of this clothing upon you, can you feel the presence of all those people and their struggles and their determination and their courage that you wear too? So this is our first source of wisdom and enlightenment. The direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to renewal of the spirit and a force of openness to the forces that create and uphold life. Those forces created your clothes, the food you will eat, the cars you will drive, everything you do. The direct experience of those people can only be found in what you are wearing or what you eat. Can you be renewed by them? Can you be open to the force of their determination and courage and love? Please open yourselves to the invitation of this first source to be renewed. Mystery and wonder are all around you, waiting to be found. Seek it out. It is nearby. Look around. It is all around you, every moment of your day. Thank you.